Have you ever heard of someone hiring kidnappers to abduct and murder their better halves because of TGE disputes? What? Do I sound crazy? You must be thinking that this is some kind of joke, but what you're about to find out is something that will literally blow your mind. The story happened in 2015 when Noela Rukundo, an Australian refugee, went back to her homeland in East Africa to attend a funeral which led her to another funeral. Not just any funeral though, stick around and find out. Let's start from the beginning. Noela Rukundo, a mother of 8, migrated from East Africa and lived as a refugee in Australia, along with her husband, Balenga Kalala. They had disputes just like any other couple. But Kalala wanted an end to all those fights and arguments, which brought him to take a massive devious step against his wife. No people, we are not talking about a divorce over here. In fact, as the story will unfold, you will realize that everything in it is miles away from something legal. In 2015, Noela Rukundo had to travel back to her hometown, Burundi, to attend the funeral of her stepmother who had departed recently. After reaching Burundi, Noela checked in a hotel room. While she was getting fresh after all the hectic traveling, she received a phone call from her husband Kalala, who, like every husband, seemed pretty concerned about his wife. While talking, he suggested Noela to step outside of her hotel room to get some fresh air. What a caring man! Noela, awed by her husband's love, had no idea that she was creeping her way towards a trap. But well, we can't blame her because, if we were to receive a phone call from a trustworthy family member, what would stop us from complying? Similarly, for Noela, stepping outside to get some air seemed like caring advice from her beloved husband. As she walked outside, oblivious to what's going on, she saw a strange person briskly approaching towards her. While she was trying to assess the situation, the uncanny guy suddenly pointed a gun at her. A scared to death but a helpless Noela was instructed to stay quiet while the anonymous guy forced her inside the car. She was being kidnapped. But for what? Money? Possessions? To make a statement? None knew why. Noela was taken to a remote location where she was tied up. She still couldn't figure out why she was in such a perilous situation. The only logical explanation was ransom. However, minutes later she was explained everything in detail, which left her in a cold sweat. The abductors revealed who the mastermind behind this plot was. Chills went down her spine as she found out that the person behind her kidnapping was none other than her own husband, Kalala. Initially, she refused to believe what she heard, but the criminals reassured her that it was actually her husband that ordered to kidnap her. Not only that, but he also instructed to kill her. Noela was in total disbelief. What kind of honesty do you expect from some two-bit criminals? However, she was compelled to believe the kidnappers' statements when they called her husband in front of her, confirming that it was indeed Kalala who arranged Noela's abduction. Noela's world broke as she heard her husband ordering the criminals to kill her. The abductors, who were as confused as you guys, inquired what she had done, which led the matter to go to such an extent. Noela had no answer to the question. She had no idea what made her husband scheme such a devious plan. Fortunately for Noela, her kidnappers had morals, well, sort of. "We don't kill women and children," they said to her. Sticking to their values, she was kept in captivity for a couple of days until she was released unharmed and untouched. The kidnappers diverted from the plan. They siphoned more money from Kalala and lied to him in the end that the deal was done. The moralistic criminals asked Noela that when she goes to the press to tell her story, she must give out the message to women everywhere around the globe to leave their violent husbands at their earliest. After the release, Noela cleverly went to Australia, contacting no one along the way to keep the fact that she was alive hidden. When she reached her home, to her surprise, a funeral was arranged and people were mourning the departure of none other, Noela herself. She silently observed as the mourners began to leave the funeral, and at the right time she confronted her loving husband. For Kalala, Noela's presence was like he had seen a ghost. He touched her shoulder to make sure he wasn't hallucinating. Well, you can't blame the guy. Not many people crash their own funerals. Noela was furious, and her heart was filled with vengeance. She called the cops, telling them the entire incident that took place. Kalala, like any other guilty schemer, began denying all the accusations against him. Surprisingly, Noela was given the recordings of her husband by the angelic kidnappers. Not just that, but they also gave her the receipts of payments transferred by Kalala for the vile act. Someone was about to go to jail. Having solid evidence against him, Kalala faced the music and was sentenced to 9 years in prison. One thing will always remain a mystery though. Kalala never explained why did he devise this sinister plan. As for Noela, she says that she has emerged as a new strong woman after the incident. She feels empowered. With her story, she was able to spread the message that how crucial it is for women to stay strong and fight the ones who try to bring them down. Kudos to her. That's a wrap. Thank you for watching. Tap one of the 2 videos on the screen and stay tuned for another engrossing story. Goodbye.